Yeah.
We are still live, and this has been an awesome stream. And I wanted to put a point in this part of the live stream where I do a review about a film that just opened today. And thank you, Eric, as Eric's in the building. Lunga's still here. We got a lot of people watching. But you just brought up Croods, and I got to see Croods 2, guys. They were nice enough to send me a link. And my stepdaughter, I just don't like. She's my daughter, too. But she was a big Croods fan, and she's like, "Oh, I love the Croods." And I was like, I just had never really wanted to watch the Croods because the Croods to me, I just wasn't a fan of the animation. I love Nick Cage; there was a good cast, but I always sort of saw Croods 1, and I thought, that looks like kind of a dumb DreamWorks thing I can skip. And so I actually, to be honest, had never seen a Croods movie before. And so I watched the Croods 1 per her insistence because she loved it as a kid. And so I watched it, and I loved it, actually. She loved it. It's one of her favorites, and I really enjoyed it. And so Croods 1 I watched, and it was cute, and it was fun. And so I got the screening link that I got to watch with her, and I was going to review it with her, but she didn't get to do it. But I got to say, if you have a parent and you have kids, Croods 2 was surprisingly fun. I got to say, I'm now a Croods fan. I had sort of written them off and ignored it. Thought it was sort of second tier like DreamWorks, but no, legitimately good. There's also a TV show that my kids love, The Dawn of the Croods. It's currently on Netflix. So if you have kids out there who are into the Croods, I didn't know this was such a popular thing, but it is. And Croods 2 was actually a very clever follow-up sequel to the first Croods, which is sort of Croods 1 is about cavemen and like stepping outside the cave and letting your kids explore and grow, and you're afraid to as a parent. And it works. It's good. Nicolas Cage, Catherine Keener, Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds. It's a really good voice cast. Clark Duke. And then part 2, spoiler alert, they get out of the cave in part 1. Part 2 is they stumble upon the Better Mans, which is played by Peter Dinklage and what's her name from 40-Year-Old Virgin? Leslie Mann. And Rose, Kelly Marie Tran is the three of them play new characters that they stumble upon who are basically modern man. The Better Mans is what they sort of is the joke. And so they stumble upon this new age of inventions and stuff that sort of is, are they better than that? So anyway, my quick Croods review, I want to make sure I did plug it because I want to thank Universal and DreamWorks for sending it over. Parents, I do recommend it. I thought it was really fun. It was cute. My kid really loved it. And I actually say I think I liked 2 better than 1. It just was a little bit more fun, and a message was even better, and the animation was so much better. So it's definitely a worthy sequel to a good family film if you're looking for something in the theaters, if you can do it safely. I know some people are doing that. Eric, you were asking if I went to theater. No, I got to see the screen, but I probably would have taken, if the theater had been empty enough here in Florida like I did some of the other ones, I probably wouldn't have had a problem going and see it. It would have been fun to go back to the big screen. But I think the money it made on its opening night wasn't huge, but it's something. I'm glad they went out and they are supporting theaters. They're the only studio right now keeping the theaters going. So if you feel safe, if you have the ability to, and you can do it with your kids, or do take one kid to see it and then go again later, I do recommend. It was fun. As a dad, I have to say it was fun, and it's a really good voice cast. So Croods 2, I give it a thumbs up. It was cute. As a dad, I had fun with it. Is it 20-something-old dudes? I don't know if you'll have much fun, but if you like good animated kid stories, definitely don't shrug it off. It wasn't a. I was being unfair towards the Croods franchise. There's something fun to it, and Nicolas Cage is great. It's always good to hear Nicolas Cage's voice and anything. But that's my quick review. But yeah, Eric, what you were bringing up Croods and reminded me to do this. Did you have something you wanted to ask about it specifically?
Yeah, I just wanted to. Well, I kind of wanted to know whether you saw it in theaters or not. I saw the first Croods in theaters, back when it first came out, and I did enjoy it. And what I've always taken away from it was I like the character designs, and I especially love the design of the world, especially the creature design. They're so imaginative.
Yes.
So interesting. Fun fact: the first Croods movie, if I remember correctly, was directed by Chris Sanders, who was also the director behind Lilo and Stitch.
Correct.
And the co-director of How to Train Your Dragon. So. And it was a very visually vibrant film. And if you compare, the way, because Chris Sanders, when he usually designs his character, they're usually a little roundish. They're more, I guess you could say they're more curved. They're not really blocky, or if they are, they're kind of done in a stylistic way, which you kind of see in some design of the characters in the Croods. And you can see, I think Chris Sanders, one of the underrated things about him, it really does come to those imaginative designs. If you were to compare the space scenes from the opening of Lilo and Stitch when Stitch is escaping from, basically space jail, and you see the design of the aliens, and you were to compare them sort of like to the creatures that the Croods encounter in the first film, it's a very similar-ish design. I don't know if Chris Sanders directed this one. I don't think he did, but I enjoyed I did enjoy the Croods.
But you haven't seen this. You haven't seen part 2 yet.
I have not seen part 2 yet.
Yeah, it's a different director, but I'm glad you brought that up because I totally was spacing, but you're totally right. The animals are beautiful. They're so fun. It's similar to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where they sort of put together platypus bear and all these sort of weird, hybrid animals in Airbender. It's a similar thing they were doing in Croods, where it's all sort of completely designed new creatures. And yeah, you're totally right. It's that is. My daughter was even saying, "I love the animals in the movie." Like that's a thing I forgot. That is a big part of it and continues in 2. Not as much. There's more of it, but definitely 1 is more about mean creatures. No, it happens in 2 too. They're blending together because I watched them so close. But yeah, I would recommend you go check out if you're a fan. You're right. Chris Sanders is great. I was looking up. He didn't direct it. Joel Crawford did, who did the art on Kung Fu Pandas and the Lego Movie. He's done a lot of art, but it looks like his directing. He did some Troll shorts, but this is his first major movie.
Okay,
but he did some art on Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, so he has a good animation history.
Yeah.
But I love Lilo and Stitch. I love How to Train Your Dragon, especially part 1. So yeah, it's a good. Those are good names you brought up.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out Croods. I'll see whether or not I do it in theaters because I usually like whenever I've been going to the theaters during this whole pandemic, which admittedly is not as much as I want to, but that's mainly because the content out there I kind of look at and say I'm not really, not that it's necessarily bad, but I feel like it's not necessarily theater worthy, and usually I can't find someone, and whenever I went, I usually went with one of my friends who was willing to risk it with me. So I'll try to see Croods 2 in theaters. I know they got that 17-day thing, so which is whether or not you think it's a good thing is beside the point. So either way, it's probably gonna be out on digital before, or maybe even on Christmas. So there's always that option. But I'm gonna try seeing this thing in theaters.
Yeah, here's some of but yeah, it's fun, especially if you like animation like Eric does, or you got kids and you can do it safely. I do think it's a worthy, fun movie. The New Age, Croods 2, The New Age. Yeah, it's weird because it took a while. The first one was it's been a while since they got this one going.
That's what made me so surprised that they got the whole cast back.
Yeah, and when Ryan Reynolds, Emma Stone, they're all back. Yeah, it's
they're all back, and the thing is, they were less popular before the first Croods movie. I think Emma Stone was kind of a big name back when the first Croods came out, but I still think in terms of popularity, surprisingly, Nicolas Cage was probably the biggest star they had, and because this was Ryan Reynolds pre-Deadpool, but now, in this one, Ryan Reynolds is in it. He's not even the headline star, and he's such a big star. I think he's the biggest name attached to the movie, and I don't know how, and for him to voice Guy, which is a great performance, and I've been recently rewatching some clips of the first Croods movie. I don't own it, but I've been rewatching clips of it on the internet.
Yeah, it was 2013, so it's been 7 years.
So it's been 7.5, nearly 8 years.
That was not Deadpool was not. Yeah, so this was before he was not at his.
At least
this was not him in his peak. He got so good for them, and maybe they taped it a while. But yeah, so that means 2013. Yeah, he was doing. Well, he did Turbo. That's right. Turbo, which my kid loves too. So he was doing Turbo and Croods at the same time. They must have enjoyed it. But yeah, that was after Green Lantern, so it was people knew who he was. But I liked Buried. He's done some stuff. But yeah, it's a good point.
Buried was good. I'm not claustrophobic, but that movie made me understand what's so scary about claustrophobic, and the ending is just absolutely heartbreaking, that one. But going back to Croods, yeah, I'm totally gonna try checking this out. From the trailer, because I did get a trailer for this when I went to go see a movie in theaters. It was the re-release of Toy Story, so I did get to see it on the big screen. I'm the animation is so good, it's so colorful. It feels like such a direct continuation. The only thing I'm surprised of is that they didn't opt for the time skip, but it looks it looks entertaining, and I'm definitely going to try checking it out, either in theaters or like as soon as it comes out on digital. I'll have to see my schedule and all that. But I've been hearing some good things from people who like the first Croods. I wouldn't put like the first Croods in my top 10 DreamWorks movies, but I still enjoyed it as a colorful, creative film.
It's not DreamWorks' best, but at the same time, I have to say I didn't give it as much attention as I would. But there you go. I appreciate you chiming in on this, Eric. Thank you guys for watching this Croods review. I wanted to make sure I got this out there as part of the piece here in the stream. Check it out if you can. Thank you to Universal for sending that link over. I appreciate it. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back if you're watching live. Just taking a quick second. But watch these other videos as I clip this later, or I might post this later. I always do this just in case. But thank you guys. 1 second.